My car got towed. This week has been so many things, but yesterday evening I got to lead worship in one of our prayer things that we're doing at church, and it's a little bit more like a free flowing kind of a thing that we're trying to do. It's not a very common thing, especially in the church that I am in right now. So after a long time, I felt like I could, not just have to like stick to like a set list of structure and like all these different things, which are not bad, but it's nice to like not worry about all those things and just kind of like just flow with however Holy Spirit's leading you. It was so wonderful to do that. And after that, I think I came home around like 10 p.m. And where I would normally park my car next to our apartment, all those parking spots were full. So then I just kind of like swung around and then parked in a property right next to our apartment, which is still owned and managed by the same people that own and manage our apartment. And there's also like another property, so it's like three properties managed by the same people. Initially when we were getting our apartment, they said that we can use the amenities and all that stuff in all the three properties. So I'm like, so I just parked over there. And in the morning when Abdullah and I were about to get out and go for work, I don't see my car there. I tried to call the apartment office, but it was too early for them. The offices were not open, so I just went to voicemail. But eventually I realized that my car got towed. So when I thought about that, I don't know if it's I'm surrounded by a lot of people who think like this, but the first thought that came to my mind is like, oh, spiritual warfare. Because you had like such a powerful time of ministry last night, and then the enemy is trying to attack, which I'm not gonna like completely deny that I do believe that there are uh, powers and spiritual things that happen behind the scenes that I don't know all of it about. But at the same time, I personally don't like believe in spiritual warfare, because I don't understand what am I warfaring about. To my understanding, Jesus has already defeated the enemy. So there's nothing for me to warfare about. Like, I don't need to fight anything. Okay, let me give you an example, right? People of Israel, or the Israelites, they were once upon a time as slaves under the bondage of Egypt. And when God set them free, it's almost like a whole city of number of people. It's just not like, not just a few hundreds. I don't even know the exact number, but so many people left Egypt, and they were, walking towards the promised land. And on the way, they came to a point where ahead of them is the Red Sea. And when they came to that point, Pharaoh from Egypt, he realized what he just did. He's like, why did I just let them go? Let me go back with my army and capture them. So there was Red Sea in front of them, and then there was Pharaoh's army behind the Israelites, right? So there's people in the front. They're like, oh my gosh, why did God just bring us out to the desert to die? Like, where are we gonna go? And then Moses talks to God, and eventually the miracle of the parting of the Red Sea happens. So there's like a few people who are starting to see the sea, like something they've never seen before, the miracle of the Red Sea parting, so they can like walk on dry land. But then there's also a group of people in the back who are seeing the Pharaoh's army marching, or whatever, however they're coming against them, right? They see Pharaoh's army coming at them. That's how I see a lot of like spiritual warfare stuff. Just because God has done a miracle for you in front, that does not mean that the enemy is not going to keep coming for you. What can you do when you're in that place where you feel like the enemy is coming at you, right? Like, the logical thing to do is to prepare for battle. Okay, the Pharaoh's army is about to come. I need to be prepared to like, defend and all that, like fight and all that stuff. So the logical thing to do is to prepare for warfare. But What God, I believe, would want us to do is to walk in the open door that God has already made. So as we keep moving forward and not just focus back on what the Pharaoh's army is doing and trying to, figure out strategies and everything to fight against them, instead of doing all that, what if we just kept moving forward into what God has already prepared for us? A miracle, right? Many times we might not see the miracle because we're too focused on looking at Pharaoh's army, and we're maybe like a little too far away from the miracle. I've been in places where I've seen miracles from God far too many times, but still I find myself many times focusing on the Pharaoh's army. So instead of focusing on what the enemy is trying to do, if we just keep moving forward, God will do what only God can do with the enemy. If you know the story, the people of Israel, they just kept walking through the miracle of the dry land in midst of the midst of the Red Sea. And then when it came to a point where even while they're walking, they can still see Pharaoh's army also coming into the sea, just like how they walked through it and they were walking in it. They might be like, okay, God, you did a miracle and we're walking in the miracle, but I still see the enemy trying to come after us. And then God does what only God can do, that brings the waters back and drowns the whole army of Egypt in the water. This really helps me not to focus so much on spiritual warfare, because I've seen God do miracles far too many times to be focused on what the enemy is trying to come at. I'm not denying that the enemy is not coming at us. I'm sure the enemy is doing whatever he can in his power to come at us. Because Jesus has already won the victory, we don't have to fight the same war that he's already won. We just need to remind the enemy that he's already defeated and keep our eyes fixed on Jesus and keep walking forward into what God has for us. And as we do that, I'm sure the enemy will still see the enemy following us in the miracle. But if we just keep moving forward and trusting in God, I believe that God will drown out whatever the enemy is trying to do. Yeah, that is my thoughts on spiritual warfare. Hopefully, it made sense. Uh, One of the biggest things that a lot of people would quote, especially when it comes to this topic of spiritual warfare, is when Paul says, like, oh, we don't fight against flesh and blood, we fight against principalities. To be very honest, I have no idea why Paul said what he said, but I know that Jesus defeated the enemy. And just because Jesus defeated the enemy, he's not going to act like he's not defeated. He's still going to try to do whatever. But as long as I can fix my eyes on Jesus and keep moving forward, even when I don't completely understand it all, just knowing that my Jesus is for me and he only does good and he's working all things together for good, all I need to do is just to keep being in relationship with him and just keep moving forward. I'm just gonna keep doing that and let God do what he does. So yeah, that's my thoughts on spiritual warfare, or lack thereof. I don't know. So yeah, what do you think? Would love to hear your thoughts if you want to share. Yeah, thanks for listening.